say on that note, I'm gonna turn the mic over to Councilman Al Austin.
Yes.
Dante wasn't over here to give us sound effects. Dante, let's just give yay, thank you. Yes, sir. Talk, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I just think, during the intermission, we were talking about the Gail King interview with Lisa Leslie. And I would just say, I think it's a shame, number one, to bring that up, right? During this period of time where not only Kobe's family is grieving, but the entire nation is grieving the loss of a iconic sports hero, somebody who, by all accounts, has really contributed greatly, was an awesome father. He had 4 daughters.
Yeah.
And a wife, and he went through some tough trials early in his career, right? As a professional athlete, and I don't think his life should be defined by that little blip. He should be celebrating all of his positives, right, at this point. And I think that's the culture that we are in right now, where people are trying to get ratings or sensationalize or cause some sort of other reaction to what was really at hand right there. So I don't think the comments, I don't think the questions were respectful. I think they were insensitive, particularly during this time. We haven't even had a public memorial for Kobe Bryant yet, right? I think that allowed that to happen, allow people to grieve and process, that just traumatic, the way we lost him. And I think we should respect his family.
I just kind of felt like it was just kind of low-key dirty. It's like, why do you want to bring that up? On the straight, real, sort of like, why you want to bring that up? Why are you going to bring up something that, like that? I mean, what makes you think that his wife wants to hear that? His family, his daughters, something that is, like you said, that you may or may not be proud of, and you don't want that coming back. Like, who want to talk about that?
I think he made genuine efforts to redeem himself as
Absolutely.
well. And so we talked as a community about second chances, allowing people to redeem themselves and come back from mistakes that they made in the past, and we don't even know. He was never convicted of anything.
Right.
I'm not in a place where I'm going to debate, the facts on what happened or what didn't happen. The courts processed that.
Right.
That was an agreement between 2 people, and then they went their ways.
Right.
And so people can have opinions about it, but I think keep your opinions to yourself. Right now, while we are grieving the loss of somebody who's iconic.
It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Anyway, I appreciate that so very much. I was going to talk to us a little bit about, let's see, what are you going to do? What you going to
I always look at her.
Of course.
She gives me my inspiration. It's my wife.
Yes, she is beautiful.
Yes.
You're welcome. What are we going to talk about?
So, I'm running for re-election to a 3rd term on the Long Beach City Council.
I know, right?
Yes.
Super juiced. Yay.
It's been a great run over the last 8 years. And I've initiated a couple dozen great new projects that we haven't been able to cross the finish line. I want to be able to be the person that gets that work done. I'm concerned that if I don't run for a 3rd term, that we don't make the progress we need to make as a community.
Right.
And I've really invested myself in building community, improving quality of life, making our community, our district more livable, bringing in small businesses, actually promoting housing development, and we've had several developments in various stages. We've actually developed the first single-family home community in Long Beach in the last 25 years in our district. And then I want to deal with the challenges of the day. When I got elected 8 years ago, we didn't have a homelessness crisis, right? We didn't have, affordable housing challenges. fact, when I got elected in 2012, one of the first pieces of legislation or first ordinances we put together was creating what's called a foreclosure registry, right? Because we had a surplus of foreclosed properties throughout North Long Beach, right? And people were squatting in those properties and impacting quality of life in neighborhoods. And so we said, okay, there's a lot of banks that own these properties that are not taking care of these properties. And we need to put together some sort of clearinghouse to understand where these properties were, and so that we can follow through and as a city and hold these banks accountable. Well, that was 8 years ago, right? So I've seen the housing kind of pendulum shift in the last 8 years. Now we have an affordable housing process. We have an issue where there's not enough housing stock for the families, you know, that want to live in the city. And so I've seen a lot. I think the experience matters when it comes to elected office. I'm not a real big fan of term limits, but I think 3 terms is sufficient. If I can't get it done in 3 terms, then, you know, I don't need to be there. And that would give me 12 years.
Right.
So obviously I'm looking for a 3rd term. Finish the work that I started.
How did you know to go into public office? What was it? What sparked that for you?
So I'm originally from Detroit. My grandfather was a public administrator. He worked for the Department of Social Services, Wayne County. He retired as the deputy director of the Department of Social Services for the county, so he was a social worker. And his brother was the first black CPA in the state of Michigan, but also he was county auditor, ran for mayor, ran for Congress, and ultimately he became the Secretary of State, the first black elected statewide for the state of Michigan.
Awesome.
All right, that's awesome.
So yeah, this is Black History Month.
Amen, right?
My grandfather,
Yeah, right.
those in Detroit were great pioneers. But they also taught me at a very young age. I was exposed to a lot of the political leaders in the city. You know, I was exposed to, you know, obviously the conversations around the dining room table in terms of strategic moves that are going to be made. Rosa Parks, actually, the late great Rosa Parks, actually lived across the street from my grandfather. And so I was able to see these influences at a very young age, and was always encouraged and inspired and to go into public service. And so when I was a young kid, I knew that, well, I kind of want to do that. Right? I see myself doing that one day. When people would ask me, you know, as a young kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? This is going to be take you back to the beginning. I would tell people I want to go to Congress. I want to be a congressman.
There you go.
So in a lot of ways, I've been able to kind of prepare myself, you know, through obviously school and the work that I've done and my volunteer efforts throughout the state, campaigns to be able to actually put myself in a position to give back, to serve my community. And I look at it as more of a calling than anything, right? This was something that I knew at a very young age that I wanted to do. And I've always kind of had my mind, not on necessarily being an elected official, because quite frankly, when I went to college, I thought I was going to go into the career path of being a city manager or a city administrator. And then one thing led to another. I got involved in my union and started getting elected to offices and taking more responsibility. And yeah. Worked for a state senator for about 4.5 years here in LA. State Senator Kevin Murray gave me an opportunity. And from there on, it's been a lot of public service. I got appointed to a commission in Long Beach back in 2003 by then Mayor Beverly O'Neill. Ran for council in 2007 unsuccessfully. We lost by 42 votes. Came back again and ran in 2012 and got elected. And re-elected again in 2016, and we'll get it one more time in 2020.
All right.
All right. Is there anxiety? Do you get anxiety?
No.
Oh, like election night? Do you get like?
I get a little anxiety, but I get more anxious than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like we get like that.
So we literally have 24 24 days and 36 minutes before the election results come in.
Wow.
I'm not really counting.
Oh, yeah, right. That is so awesome.
There you go.
Oh my God. So, let us know everything about the election date, where people can go, like people like me that need to transfer my voter registration, all that good exciting stuff.
So we need to get you registered to vote right away in
Yes.
the city of Long Beach, in the 8th district. The election day is March 3rd, right? That's the last day there's a vote. But we're gonna be doing some new, there's gonna be some new processes this election that we've never done before, right? You can actually register to vote the very same day that you vote,
Okay.
right? Same day voter registration has never been the case here in the state of California. We now have that. We also have voting centers as opposed to your traditional polling place, right? So
wow,
that's
I
been
didn't know that.
condensed significantly, and that's a game changer.
It is a big game changer. So you can go to any center now?
Any center and vote, right? You're not assigned a center, you can go to any voting center and vote, right?
Oh, but is it one of those weird provisional votes, you're gonna put yours to the side because it's not your
I
place?
don't believe so. Don't believe so,
Okay.
because it's electronic
That's
voting.
only happens at my polling place.
So for a lot of the residents in my city, because there's a congressional district that's shared with Orange County,
Mhm.
you didn't have to ask for your ballot. They're mailing a ballot to everybody, right? So
Ah.
literally this past week, everybody got their ballots. And, I would say that a lot of people have already voted, just in the last few days. These polling
So
centers.
you don't have to call in for your ballot anymore?
You can, if you don't get it, you can request it. You can get an absentee
But
ballot.
they're just mailing it?
But they're just mailing it anyway,
Oh, okay.
right?
Wow.
That's not every place, that's not every
Right.
district, every city, but certainly in Long Beach, because there's some nuance because of our congressional district, everybody received a ballot. The polling centers are gonna be open like 11 days, for 11 days, so.
To vote?
To vote, right?
Wow,
Changing the game.
11 days?
Literally, 11
Oh.
days.
Okay.
So, and they're not as many, they're certainly
Right.
less, but they're gonna be open for longer periods of time. Some are gonna be open for 11 days, some are gonna be open for only 4 days, right? But you can check with the LAvote.net, put your address in, they'll tell you exactly where the closest polling locations or polling centers are. And we have, at least a couple of them in the district in which I'm running in Long Beach. But
Wow,
for
that-
voters
those
out
are
there, you gotta pay
game changers.
attention to that.
Yeah.
It's in terms of campaigns and how strategies have been traditionally, all of that is out the window. This is really a test case. Future elections are gonna be run and strategies are gonna be developed based on what happens in this election. So this is a very first of its kind. California changed its primary elections. Usually we were June primaries. We moved our primary up to March to be a part of Super Tuesday, to have a bigger impact on
Right.
presidential elections
Right.
and outcomes. And so with that, a lot of local governments, cities, counties said, okay, we're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna marry our elections to the state, so that, number one, it may save some resources, but it will promote greater voter turnout, right?
I agree, I think that would create greater
Yeah.
voter turnout, absolutely.
So-
I'm really inspired by these polling centers, definitely, yeah.
John, were you aware about that, the changes in?
No, I was not. No, I wasn't aware of that.
'Cause I'm like running crazy trying to get from LA
Mhm.
to the polling place before it closes at 8 o'clock.
Wow, that's good.
That's great.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
It's all
I've got a couple questions. You guys wanna go hardcore? You guys wanna go lightweight? What do you guys wanna do?
Going with the flow.
Go with the flow.
What you wanna do, Sean?
Whatever you wanna go with, we're gonna go with the flow.
Okay, we're gonna keep it kind of the nice and breezy side. So, I have something to pose to the panel.
Uh-oh.
I saw this in the news feed today on Facebook. I'm a big Facebooker. And so, a gentleman posted that we were not even, and I just really wanna say this, we were not even 5 days into the Black History Month. And we've got people like Snoop Dogg calling Gayle King a dog-faced bee, calling other people, calling Oprah Winfrey the H word and the B word, wanting all of this to say, who are we as a people right now? What are we doing? Are we desecrating Black History Month and why it was created in the first place? And just a little bit of a tad example that just kind of poked out at me as Lori and I were driving over here. I was like, oh, kind of jotted that down. I mean, I know we kind of went down that road already about our opinions on what we thought about that, but from a perspective of Black History Month, are we dragging one another? I mean, is this really representative of who we are, or have those individuals that were put on these iconic pedestals, was that a form of idolatry, if you will? And now people are seeing these are just random, the same thing. You see what I'm saying? This is just, you know, her, but she just happened to have this many zeros behind her name, but at the end of the day, she's still that same round-away fillet, if you will. I'm just saying. Thoughts on that, Mr. Austin?
You know, I just think it's a sign of the times. We are, I think, becoming less sensitive as a society. And a lot of that is attributed to news. People trying to make news, and you know, as Dante said, you know, sometimes controversy is what sells. Right?
No such thing as bad publicity.
Right. We're talking about it right now. Right? It's a topic of discussion. It's part of your news threads. It happened, and that story has been repeated now probably 1,000 times over in different mediums, right? Because it's hot. And we've got somebody in the White House that's a master at manipulating the media like that, right?
Is that,
We have literally been consumed with a 24-hour news cycle, and this person has led and influenced news literally for almost 4.5 years, every day. Every day. Every day. So,
something outrageous.
yes, manipulating the media. The media is certainly a challenging beast at this point. And, you know, I believe in the free press. I believe in the opportunity to inform. But at the same time, you know, I think, again, sign of the times, we're becoming way less sensitive as a society.
Yes.
To me, that would have been a taboo conversation, or should have been a taboo conversation, based on the timing.
Right. What are you thinking about that, Sean?
Oh, I agree. I believe that, I really don't know what was the motivation for that. I don't know why she asked the question. And I get that at this point, it really doesn't matter because the question was posed. I think that we are desensitized to connection with one another, not just the media, but text messages and things. We don't communicate as much as we have done in the past. We don't have community. We don't have family like we did. We don't respect one another as a people, not just as a black, or as white or whatever, but as a human.
Right,
race.
human kindness.
And you can see that in the White House. So those are the things that I think we should focus more on. Again, was she wrong for saying what she said? Of course. Should she have posed that question to a friend of Kobe's at that time? No. Should she have posed that question at this point in time before? He hasn't even been buried. No. Do I agree with everything that everyone has said against what she says? I can't put words, formulate my words and put it in someone's mouth. So I'm not going to say that Snoop is wrong for what he said. I said that before because that's the way Snoop talks, that's the way he feels, and you know, this is his way of expressing himself. He has a much better relationship with Kobe than many of us know about, and so maybe this is the way he wanted to, again, to express themselves.
Are we desecrating Black History Month?
Well, first off, I think Black History Month should be all year round. I don't know why we wait for the shortest time of the year to say that we have a month that we just celebrate blacks, which to me is just why, you know. Again, this is just showing how we are, whether it's February or June. This is just how we are as a people. I think we need to work on unification of our people, which again goes back to the point of trying to be successful in society. We need to learn to work together as a people, rich, poor, you know, tall, short, light brown, women, man. We need to begin to connect as a race and as a community, as society, as humanity, and definitely our Christian values should show and represent who we are as a Christian. If we're going to say we're Christians, we need to represent Christianity. If we're and this is just my belief as I'm a Christian.
Yes.
You know, don't sell yourself to community, you know, congressmen, Republicans, and I'm going to speak on, you know, I'm an independent, but just speaking to the Republicans at this point, don't sell yourself as a Christian. Seeing someone do wrong, knowing that he did wrong, and don't stand up for what was wrong. Don't sell yourself as a Christian, knowing that this woman stood before the media, spoke against a man that she had plenty of time to speak to if she wanted to do an interview with him. She could have interviewed him before he died. Why wait until he's dead to ask the question about something that you could have asked 20 years, for the last 20 years, but you chose not to? So it was wrong.
I agree. Lori G, what do you have? Any commentary for us on
I
the
do. I mean,
Black History Month?
I've been
and
thinking
it-
about, you know, Black History Month, and I don't think that you asked the question, do we believe that we are supporting it and celebrating it from which it was intended and created, right?
Yes.
I don't think we tell our stories as Black people to our future generations, to our children, to anyone, to anyone who is in our community or in our circles. I think that we don't slow down enough to remember the times of the lynchings, or remember the times when we couldn't read, or remember the times when, you know, there was the big bus boycott, and we as a community pulled together and took each other to work because we weren't going to use the bus systems. We don't tell those stories in vivid detail to our younger generations. So I think that also plays into why we don't spend time sometimes telling these stories, is because of these little things right here. Everybody's on them. They're on their phones. They're on how many likes did I get on my Instagram this, my Snapchat that, and we're kind of becoming so narcissistic, aren't we? It's about, I mean, I work in education. You have no idea the number of things I mediate on a daily basis that escalate to a point of suicide because of children ostracizing, as you say, in terms of bullying, other children through the use of these social media apps. I have colleagues that their office is next door. They will send me a text. They will send, what? That's ridiculous, because the more that we move away, and I agree with you, Sean, the more that we move away from human interaction, the more desensitized we become to humanism and humanity, right? And we lose that connection because it's all about us. So no, I don't celebrate Harriet Tubman. I took a poll of African American children at my university. I think there was 2 who saw Harriet. At least of the ones that came and passed through my office. Why is that? Why is that? But they see what, the the housewives of this
Python?
place and
We
oh yeah, I
should
forgot,
have
guys. I'm the
Python.
housewife of Python. And what's the other one? Oh my gosh, my nieces are notorious for it. Love and hip hop.
Right.
Hip hop in Atlanta and LA and Miami, you know, so we share those stories. We could tell you what, what's her name, the Puerto Rican princess did when she jumped on the table and all of that, right? But can you tell me who Sojourner Truth is? Madam C.J. Walker? We don't tell our stories. I think, in my opinion,
I
we don't
agree.
tell our stories.
I think we don't, and it was our generation that, and this is the way I see it, our generation that did not impress upon the next generation the direction in which to go. And I think many times we want to become friends, and we've, at this stage, made ourselves more friendlier to our children than a parent to our children. So instead of educating them the things in which we were educated on, we educate them and we talk about the things that are socially acceptable today for them to befriend them. And this is why I think we don't see ourselves as valuable as our generations before, the struggles that they had and they went through in order for our generation to get to where we are today. We didn't have to struggle with sitting in the back of the bus. We didn't. We didn't have to struggle with getting food and not being able to eat at a restaurant because of our color. We didn't have to go into a colored restaurant. And not because we are not knowledgeable of that, because we are knowledgeable of it. I think that we find ourselves now not needing that type of connection. We lived in community where we knew our neighbors and friends and family members and people around the corner down the street. But now that we feel that we are equal in our mind to the rest of society, I think we have now become, I don't need you anymore. See, our parents needed the neighbors because it was for safety purposes, and prior to that, for safety purposes. So it was important to understand your blackness, understand your community. Now we're at the point where we don't understand our blackness, our community. We don't see the strides that people have made prior to us to get us to where we are. So we don't teach that. And our grandkids are definitely not gonna learn that because we're not teaching it to our kids. So how do we expect our grandkids to get something that we didn't even, impart in our children?
Well, I think there's some great points have been made here, but I also think that we are also in a place where, obviously society has changed a lot. Black culture has changed a lot over the last 30 years, particularly with the changing the workforce and roles and responsibilities in households. I mean, my household is a lot different than the one I grew up in, right? And how my kids are being raised. My mom stayed at home. Right? My father was the sole income for the household. My wife is works and she's strong and she's independent. And, I wash dishes when I need to and do laundry. Do the whole thing that my dad didn't do. And so, as a man, I think we have to adjust, and as couples, we have to adjust because we're not growing up in the same environment that we're not living in the same environment that we grew up in. Right? That said, I do think that there is a conflict, right, that we as a community need to really address. And this is maybe a question more than anything, but I want to you to think about it, right? You talk about the unity at one point that we had as a community, right? We shared pain and experiences, as families, trying to get ahead, trying to even move into the neighborhoods that we wanted to move in, right? Today, I think there's a new dynamic of feminism that is oftentimes in conflict with some of what we know. And so we go back to the Gayle King comments, right? On the heels of the Me Too movement. There's a great sensitivity. There's an empowerment movement an empowering movement that is moving in society right now where where women are way more empowered and they are coming out and sharing stories that, you know, maybe we weren't as sensitive to and understanding, but now we're understanding these stories a little bit more. And I think a little bit of that was inserted in that interview, right? And again, probably not the best timing.
Right.
Not the best timing, but there's a lot of movements and a lot of moving pieces that I think we need to respect as well.
I agree. Wow. Dante, you got any commentary on the number?
What was the question?
About Black History Month. Are we desecrating Black History Month, or is this just the way it is?
I think definitely we're not trying to desecrate Black History Month. I don't think that's like our intentions. But I think like all of y'all said, we got a lot of work to do as a community. Both my generation and y'all's generation. I think that these conversations that we're having about race, about ourselves as a community, is kind of like looking at the person in the mirror. Okay, how can we do better? How can I do better? How can we do better as a community? And I feel like that's the starting point. That I feel like we're actively working to be better. We just have so much work to do.
Got it. Appreciate that. I like that commentary. We do have a lot of work to do, and I'm thinking, you know, the Poetry of Justice shows an amazing platform to do some of that work. You know what I mean? And just building and bridging the gaps. I was gonna talk a little bit about, took this down from your work, Mr. Austin, Long Beach Council member, regional leader, problem solver within diverse communities with labor and local businesses. Those are a lot of, I think, great accomplishments that speak a lot about you and who you are. So, we put a question on the table. Arts and entertainment, City of Long Beach. So if there's a fresh, young production company would like to get their feet wet in the Long Beach arts culture world, where would you send that person?
I would send them to the expo, where just this weekend we had a 3-day Black History Month program that is just phenomenal. It included arts, it included panel discussions, it included entertainment with live music, but it also was a walking tour called the Forgotten Images, that actually takes you back to the 16th century, where from the slave trade, artifacts and history that will walk you through our experience as a people here in the United States. We also have 2 theaters in the Expo Arts Center right in our community, right? We have a children's theater, kids theater, where there's active theater performances weekly and rehearsals, but we also have a small theater as well. We also have it's a great facility. So number one, that's right here in our community that we live in. I would also say that, you know, we have an arts council that's very, very active in the city of Long Beach. On the ballot on March 3rd, we're actually looking to do what's called a 1% TLT tax that will be exclusively for the arts in Long Beach, which will raise resources to do more of it. Our city council, and me personally, I'm super committed to ingraining the arts into the fabric of our city, right? Live entertainment, you know, portraits, photo arts, arts really, I think tell a story about the soul of a community, right? And so, as you can see and may know, driving through the city of Long Beach, you see a lot of murals in places that you wouldn't expect them to be, but we're doing more of that just to make our neighborhoods more vibrant, community more inclusive, and showcase the arts throughout the city of Long Beach. And so, theater, music, in every sort of art expression that you can think of is something that we're working on promoting.
Yay, that's exciting news.
Very exciting news,
But really,
definitely.
I know everyone why I'm thinking about it is, I'm kind of thinking about like the Harlem Renaissance. where I'm going with this situation is, times seem to be a little difficult, you know what I'm saying? Crime is up, people are hurting, you know, like we're saying from the White House down. These are just realities. Lori spoke last week about the increase that you've seen in anxiety cases on the campus, and people are alarmed, you know. I'm a believer, and I've read scripture, and the scriptures that I read in the signs of the times, we are seeing being manifested and coming to fruition. Now, we know no one knows the time, the moment, or the hour, but those things are here. So I think I've noticed just a lot more panic and just a difference and a change. And I just know historically, now I don't know if that's gonna make a change or a difference, but you kind of sometimes go to the storehouse to do things, and arts and entertainment has always been able to appease people, particularly in very high stressful times, which is pretty much the point of it all, to kind of ease some of that pain. And based on where we're living and things that we're looking at, I think it's very important for us to do whatever we can to try and express ourselves and get the energies out, and just be able to have a platform to promote just your inner self, you know what I'm saying? To get out what it is you like, whatever that is you're passionate about. So I think the arts is going to be very, very important, because I mean, so many great things that we talk about in history now happened because of such, you know, strenuous times and difficult times, and people joining one another and uniting. And I'm thinking if we can find newer platforms, little pockets of us together, and then we just all kind of just keep unifying, it's just a step forward. You know, I know we can't beat it all, but
The arts bring people together.
yeah.
They bring even the most diverse or different people with different opinions, neighbors who don't see the world the same way. You can get everybody singing, dancing, smiling if you bring them together around the arts. And I've experienced that on so many occasions. We got in a development coming to North Long Beach, by the way, called The Beat. Right? It's on South Street. It's on Atlantic between South and 56th Street. Or actually, it's North Long Beach, Atlantic between 56th around South Street. Right?
Okay.
There's a lot of now vacant properties, and there's a
big
huge
lot.
vacant lot there. There's going to be that's going to be a renaissance space for the arts. That is the
That's
vision.
great, yeah.
I know, right?
It's called the development is called The Beat. It is going to be developed by the labs. They're out of Orange County. Anybody's ever been to the Anaheim Packing District or the Costa Mesa any lab, Antemall, it is going to be a very, very eclectic, artsy, cool, transformational project for North Long Beach. We're really proud of the work that's gone into that, and looking forward to it. It's a great vision, and it's going to be inclusive. A lot of small businesses that are going to be of the community. There'll be housing developed in the
Alright.
area, new housing. And so we're really excited about that project. And it's going to help realize a vision that when I first got elected, I said, you know, I want to make sure that we're being consistent as possible. We're being consistent in terms of how we plan, how we allocate resources, and how we look at the community. We do not want to just look at one area of the community and say that this is the area that we want to push business in, and this is the area that we want to thrive. The entire city is lifted up if we build up those areas that are economically depressed. And so that's one of the legacy projects that I want to get finished
Yes,
over the
yes,
next 4
yes.
years.
You guys can
Sure.
Yeah, I was
No.
gonna ask you, have you guys thought about taking that as a nonprofit to some of the school systems or the schools? Because I think with all these extracurricular programs taken out of the school systems, it would be good to try to bring them back, be it middle school, high school, and so on. And there's after school money allocated for things like that.
Lori, what are you thinking for GPE?
I mean, I think that's great. We never, in embarked upon working with the actual individual schools or individual districts, we took a different route initially, thinking that we would set up a conservatory style program and that we would maybe try to run it out of the Dollar Heights Center. And it would feature acting, dance, and maybe a little bit of fine arts, but mostly on acting and dance. And getting back to what we started very early in the conversation together, which was Black, or just in general, entrepreneurism, right? So we had a facility, we had a budget, we had ideas of pulling people from schools, conversations with the head of the school district for Compton Unified School District to try to create those partnerships. And then we went, Jackie, where were we? We were at some conference and this lady got up and said she was the president of, is it One West Bank? Is that the Black?
We were at the Hey Girlfriend Network.
Yeah, the Hey Girlfriend Network, which is a great event. If you haven't been, you should gotta go to the Hey Girlfriend thing. And I would, you know, my naivete, right? Because I've worked in academia, different pathway. Thought, oh, I'm just gonna go down here and talk to these people. I got my financial statements. I got this. I got that. The lady just saying she ready to give money to Black people. I was Black last time I looked, and we went in, and there were no Black people in the building. That was just interesting to me, based on what I heard from her thing. But it was very disheartening. They had no information for me to say how I could go about this. They basically looked at our financial information and said, you have no prior credit history. You have no prior, other than this program that you did, the play for the city of Compton, which was great. We created 99 seats. We sold out for the 3 nights that we did that. But no more in-depth information to speak to me as someone who was embarking upon to try to become an entrepreneur. So do you have advice for people like me and GPE to say, how do you move past that being discouraged? And I think because of that being discouraged, I haven't gotten back up on my horse to knock on the doors of individual schools or individual districts.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Some people don't know there's Title I funds for things like that. If you can tie that into education, then there's monies available for you to start that program into those programs in the district or in school districts statewide.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just finding the right fit and the right partnership. You know, there are schools that are looking for production and to bring the best out of their young students. And there's usually committees put in place, particularly at the various schools that can make those decisions. It's, I think, getting involved with and getting in with them. I know for a fact, we spend the local schools that my kids went to, they spend their resources on extra after-school programs or bringing in the YMCA to do rap programming and things of that nature. Some do drama and offer drama as an opportunity for kids to do after-school programming, and so it's just how you frame it in a lot of ways. I think opens up opportunities, and then from that platform you can
kind of
grow.
build.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's the easy way to, I mean, that's like you're saying, that's to me, the way to do it, because you need the financial resources.
Right.
I was a consultant for Linwood Unified for 5 years, and got monies through Linwood. Actually, it's LACO, LA County Office of Education funded my position, and then Linwood Unified. So the monies are there. The money is there. You just have to get that connection, write it up where it's, you know, and it's it's for educational purposes. You understand?
I do. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, we have had I've had an amazing
I
time.
have
on the show
a
tonight.
wonderful time. Learned so very much.
I know, there's so much more work to be done, everybody. Councilman, will you be back?
I will be.
Sean, I know
Looking
you're
forward
coming back. I know that's being egregious just saying that, but you come back.
Right.
Lori, thank you so much for being here tonight, the
Always.
benefactor. Dante. Guys, we're going to be next week, the ladies of the chat. We're going to be talking about some, I think Valentine's Days go wrong, some wild, crazy
Wild
stuff,
and
guys.
crazy stuff.
It's gonna be Buck again, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in here to the Poetry of Justice Show with Jackie Ray Phillips on Yikes Radio and AccelerateRadio.net.
Good night.
Make it
Great
wild,
show.
guys. That's good. You had a good time? That long time, huh?
Oh, that was good.